Hi everyone, welcome to the LGBTQ Plus panel for Some in the City 2016. To everybody who's stuck outside, I'm so sorry. We'll speak... Hi! We'll speak loudly. Hopefully the sound will go through the walls. Hey, so my name is Jazza, and I have the privilege of doing this like every year because I've sometimes tried to hand it over to other people and it never works, and I'm like, fine. But this is like literally the best bit of my weekend, and it's bloody brilliant, and it gender and sexuality, yeah. So we're going to go down the line, introduce ourselves on our own terms, and some feedback that we had last year is people affirming what pronouns they're comfortable with, which is... Thanks.
Woo! Yeah!
So, hey, my name's Jazza. I do politics videos on the internet. You don't have to watch them. And I am like a gay, cisgendered man. I'm really cis. Have you seen the beard? And I use he, him pronouns.
Good.
Thanks.
Hello, my name is Dodie Clark. Hi, I am the B in the LGBTQ plus. Yes, I recently came out as bisexual. Sort of figured that out fairly recently, within like the last year. And I use she, her pronouns, and that's me. Cool.
Hello, I'm Jimmy. I am a vlogger, and I do comedy-ish stuff and talk about my life, and I am a gay, so that's cool. I came out in sort of real life like 6 or 7 years ago. I'm still very young, but only came out on YouTube last year, so that was kind of a big deal, and I sort of didn't realize that I needed to do it until I did it, so it's been a big change with me, and I am cisgendered, and I use he, him, his. Yeah, is that? Yeah, cool.
Hello.
Jake doesn't even have to say his name.
I'm Jake. I'm a musician. I use he, him pronouns. I'm transgender, and I'm pansexual. So, lots of labels.
Oh gosh. Hi everyone. My name's Roland. No. My name's Roland. I'm a gay, gender fluid person. I recently came out. Yes. I only came out gender fluid last year because I just discovered it myself and was really trying to accept it. So that's fun. And I use him, her, they, them, she, whatever you're comfortable saying. I'm fine to accept. So yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Rose, and this is my wife Rosie. I'm a lesbian and I do improvisational comedy videos. I also use she, her pronouns. Oh, and I'm cisgendered.
Yeah, hi, I'm Rosie. I'm Rose's wife. I'm bisexual, I'm cis, I go by she, her, and yeah, I'm on YouTube because I married into it. It's a hard life.
Can I just say quickly, this is like the most incredible atmosphere for a panel I've ever experienced.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's brilliant. You guys are awesome. This is so
We've
cool.
literally just all gone, I exist. So, we are here to have a discussion. Sorry, teacher is speaking. Three of us on the panel have come out to their audiences in one way, shape or another. Roland, you came to your own realization of your gender fluidity and made a video about that, and have also kind of explained your own journey of like your gender identity. Jimmy, you've come out recently to your audience despite being out in your private life, and Dodie, you've come out as bisexual in your videos to your audience. Is something changing in the UK YouTube or YouTube as a whole, where we've seen a surge of people coming out, and I feel like we had a similar conversation last year when the surge just began. Is there something changing about YouTube itself where people feel comfortable about coming out? Are people coming out?
So.
Yeah. But are people coming out because they see it as a monetary incentive? Are people what do you think of the state of like the queer community on YouTube, and why so many people seem comfortable to be open about their gender and sexuality? Roland, go.
I think a lot of it is visibility. I think now that it's becoming a lot more socially acceptable around the world, and people are finally actually getting real, finally actually getting real information about a lot of this stuff. I think people are feeling a lot more comfortable with coming out on YouTube. And obviously we can't obviously say to every single person, we don't know exactly every single person's motive. But I think, to be honest, like for me, although I'm happy with who I was, at one point I hated it so much and I was made to feel so horrendous about it. If I was to get some monetary thing from it, then why not? Like, why not get that? Like, to be honest, like, if you're made to feel so horrible about something for such a long time, if you can get that one thing for it, then why not? Like, I think that's all right.
Do you think that something has changed though? Or, so I have a theory where I think that a lot of people have started to come out because we're all getting older and we feel more comfortable in our skin. I don't want to speak for everybody on the panel, but Jimmy, we've been around for a while.
No, we haven't, Jazza. Don't make up stories.
Jimmy's 14.
I am. I think with me, it was definitely my age was a factor because it took me a long time to come to terms with my sexuality fully. Coming out isn't something you do just once. It's something you do throughout your life, daily, weekly, whatever. So I think I finally felt like I was comfortable enough to put it out there in a very public way, and just hopefully, I don't know. I feel like when I was growing up, there weren't that many gay role models that I related to, so I just think visibility and talking about it is such a valuable thing. So that's why I did it. And yeah, I can't really speak for everyone else. I think just more people are doing YouTube now. I think that generally there's more of a push towards authenticity and honesty. And I think people realize actually the difference that making a coming out video can make to others. And it's a cathartic process as well for everyone. I got a lot out of it too.
For me, bi erasure is so real. I had genuinely no idea what it was or if it existed. Like, obviously I heard the word around school, but it was used negatively and I was scared of it, honestly, because I grew up in Essex. Don't live in Essex, kids.
Parts of Essex are fine, FYI.
Parts of them, not my school. Oh no, definitely not. So it took me a while to realize what that was. Like, I'd kiss girls at parties and my friends would go, "What? Are you a lesbian?" And I'm like, no. Maybe? I don't know. It took me so long to figure it out, and then just being surrounded by people like this, I really, felt so comfortable with that label. I was so scared of it for so long. I was like, can I use that? Am I allowed to? Am I bi enough? Should I? I don't know. And then I just watched so many people's videos, and I think that's what it is. Like, you start off a chain reaction, you watch so many, and so many people say so many important things, and you're like, yes, you're right. I don't have to, feel this pressure to prove it. I can just say it because I believe it. Fuck it, I'm bi. And I put out a video, and I didn't think it was going to be that much of a big deal because I tweeted it. And also, I always tweet about, liking things. So when I said it online, I thought everyone would be like, yeah, we know, stop milking it. But people have been so kind about it and said, it helped me, and I've recently come out because of that, and I was like, wow. So I recommend it. If you are comfortable, make a little coming out video.
Rosie, have you, as the other bee on the panel, have you ever had to deal with that issue of not feeling bi enough or queer enough, or?
I was born bi. So I never had a problem. Like, I knew from very early on that I was bi. I don't know how I found the word, but I just always knew. As soon as I could feel attraction, like sexual attraction, I knew I liked both men and women. I actually think it was only when I got with Rose, and I was already out and online out because we were dating, that I actually had a little mild worry about it, because loads of people, because I was online, loads of people kept being like, oh, were you with a woman, then we got married, and people kept being like, oh, you're a lesbian now because you're married to a woman. So why do you still like guys if you're married? And it's like, it doesn't affect.
You see, I've always been out on YouTube, but something I have seen in the last kind of 5 years is just how strong the community has become.
Yeah.
And it's just so amazing. Like, even in our comments on our videos, the amount you guys support each other. I mean, we get a lot of, your videos have helped me come out and accept who I am. And the amount of interaction I see between other subscribers supporting one another, I think that's the biggest change I've seen so far.
Yeah.
Support,
Jake, we've also seen like an increase of like trans visibility in the UK, whether that be certain people on the front cover of like Gay Times or Attitude magazine, you and Alex doing really well on the interwebs. Do you feel like there is something changing? I want to continue with that like idea of changing. Do you think that it is getting easier?
I definitely think that having people like Laverne Cox and even people like Caitlyn Jenner, just having that representation out there makes people aware that it exists. And when I was coming to terms with who I was and when I was coming out, I had exposure to trans people just because I happened to go to school with some, but then I didn't really feel comfortable with like expressing my own gender until I moved into like a mixed school environment. So I think not having like trans representation and trans role models made it take so much longer for me to find out who I was. Like, it wasn't until I was 16 that I started questioning my gender, and by not having like people in the media or like any positive media made it take so much longer. So I think now we've got YouTube, and YouTube is so much more accessible, and we've got trans people out there repping, living a life. I think it's become so much more accepted to just be like, hey, I don't think I'm cis anymore, especially even with non-binary people, just being like, you don't have to be a dude or a chick, there's more than just two genders. People are like, mind blown.
You know what I really loved recently? Who was that awful person who tweeted you being like, can you stop talking about these issues? Because I don't want my kids thinking that...
some guy was like, my young brother and sister watch Serial Time, which is another show that I do, and they came across your coming out video. That's really not appropriate, there are kids watching. And that was just like the most offensive thing, and I sort of normally try and resist engaging with that kind of hate, but that didn't really feel like just random, it didn't feel like a troll attack, that felt like it was more, he'd sort of justified it to himself, and I think that's the most dangerous kind of hate. But so many people got me behind me when I retweeted that, and there was so much support. It definitely shows me that things are changing, and there's just such a strong community there.
Yeah, I love it. It's
oh God. Go ahead, Dodie.
I just want to say, like, I love that. I want kids and people to question sexuality and gender. It's so important. What's wrong with going, am I? Possibly, maybe, experimenting, thinking about it. I think that's such a good thing. So, yeah.
How do we make sure that I'm going to not ask that question, and I'm going to reword it. Is there an obligation for us to be out about our range of genders and sexualities? Jake, you... So Jake, you have... your channel is a music channel. You make music. And you have said in the past that, my channel isn't about my transition. It isn't about my gender exclusively. It isn't about my sexuality exclusively. To what extent do you think that somebody who is LGBTQ or plus all of the other letters, to what extent do you think that they should be open with their audience because of the positive role models that they end up getting out of it? That's a bit, sorry, that was a long one.
Very wordy.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't think people necessarily have an obligation to do anything. Nobody should ever feel obligated or pressured to come out and to be a role model. If you're confident enough and you understand yourself enough and are blessed to be in a position where you are safe to be a role model, then I think you should consider it, and you should understand the social weight that will have, and think maybe I can do that, maybe I should do that, but it should never be you have to. I think it should be you should consider it, because you might change loads of people's lives. So
It's so easy to forget that as well. Like I said, when I made that video, I was like, that's not a big deal. But then you saying that, my God, you're right. A role model, oh my gosh, it's like crazy, it's bizarre.
But I think if you're open as well, I don't know if you found this, it enhances your life as well. Like when I never thought that I needed to share my sexuality because it was sort of irrelevant to the content I made. But I think really, actually, I just hadn't come to terms with it myself, and it was still something I found a little bit embarrassing and difficult to talk about. So when I made that video, it was like a big step for me personally. I thought I was making it for other people to be a role model and to be inspirational, but actually it was as much for me. And I think that's something that's important to remember.
And there's a lot of pressure that goes around the term role model, because you have to remember that these people are also people. They are going through a process themselves, and you have to appreciate and respect that.
Yeah.
And I think that, you can't forget that just because they put their lives online, it doesn't necessarily give you the kind of right to know absolutely everything about them. And I think to be positive, you need to know yourself inside and out sometimes, not always, because everyone wants to see someone going through a process too.
I think Caitlyn Jenner's a really interesting example of that, because on her reality TV show, I sometimes watch, don't judge, she seems really very much on a journey of learning how to be a positive role model herself. And sometimes I feel like on YouTube, it's really difficult to do that because we're expected to be perfect and not problematic like all of the time.
So you're expected to have it all figured out as well?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I came out as bisexual, and then I was like, what else am I? I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. Like, I can't say everything I am and give you all advice because I don't know yet. Like, if I find out, I'll tell you. But yeah, how am I meant to represent things when I don't even know what anything is?
I didn't understand my gender properly until last year anyway.
Who does?
I'm 26 and I've only just really discovered that. And I think a lot of people in the community as well, it saddens me in some way because they forget how hard it was for them so much that they keep telling other people, come out, tell everyone you're gay. It's well, maybe they're not so, well, as you said, Jimmy, it was a big step for you to say that yourself. I think people forget how hard it actually is. Because some people can be so comfortable with who they are. I think it's hard to remember that feeling.
Right.
This panel is called the LGBTQ Panel. So I decided that a few years ago because I thought that it was the most inclusive acronym / representation of the rainbow flag that was practical and short enough to stick in a tweet, frankly. So those letters, LGBTQ, they mean really specific things. However, we've got somebody who's genderqueer, who wakes up on different ends of the spectrum at certain points of the I'm explaining that really badly. Sorry, dude.
I would technically fall under the plus, and I think it depends on how many different letters, because we were saying as we're walking here, I said if you start adding another letter, then you can't be like, well, we're not having your letter, we're not having your letter, we're not having your letter. If you're gonna include one, you have to include them all. You can't just be like, well, I want this one, this one. I fall under the plus. I don't feel offended just being a plus. I don't need fluid or whatever added onto it. I'm happy with the plus, and I think, I don't know, I'm fine with that.
Do you think that we should just ditch it all and go for a Q? We should all just be the queer community?
I mean, I have no objection to that.
I quite like that.
A lot of people still have problems with queer being a slur term, because I know 20, 30 years ago, queer was the word that everyone would use to hate on gay people. So I understand why people wouldn't want that, but I also think that it's something that our community can reclaim if people just if people open themselves up to being comfortable, it could be a great term. But again, if people are just like, I say a hard no on that, because, 30 years ago when I was in school, I was called queer, and that word triggers me, or that word makes me feel really uncomfortable. I think we have a responsibility as a community to embrace that and just find an alternative.
Do you think there's something valid to say as well for acknowledging different experiences of not being straight? So I think that that's a really important thing about having the acronym of LGBTQ and AI, etc., because it shows that, hey, there's people who aren't straight. That is the LGBTQ plus community. But then there's also this experiences. Gay women are going to have certain experiences. Bi men and women are going to have very different experiences to gay men. I mean, for goodness sake, to be told, oh, just make up your mind, must be the most frustrating thing on the face of the planet. Where is there something that we need to do to kind of find a middle ground between having those compartmentalized parts of the queer community and having this big umbrella that we all stand under and are therefore more powerful? Is there a middle ground there?
That's a big question.
Things my heart.
I remember reading a study recently about the generation below mine. I can't remember what it's called. What's the youngest generation called?
Is it Generation Z?
Yeah, I think it's Generation Z. And they went into like schools and whatever, and they got everyone to identify on the Kinsey scale, and loads more people than ever are sort of in between on the Kinsey scale, like bisexual. But it's funny, then they said, what do you identify as? And loads of people aren't using the label. And that's fine.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if it's actually a generational thing. I'm wondering if, because I feel like the trans community, like you said, it's coming into light now. People, you've got Caitlyn Jenner, other role models pioneering for it. I feel like a while ago, there was no representation, and so people
or
had
any
to
representation that was there was stereotypical and negative.
It wasn't like in the media or anything. And so I feel like maybe older generations had to say, I am gay and fight for it. I am trans, I am this. And I'm wondering whether, things are getting better, and that's why people are like, I can be myself. Maybe I don't have to define myself by a label. And I do feel like there's so much more emphasis nowadays on people are able to change their minds. It's okay. You're not expected to be. People grow, people change. And so I feel like maybe it's slightly more open. Obviously, the world's not perfect, and there are still, problems. But I feel like maybe for the younger generation, they're coming into a more welcoming world where more people are coming out on YouTube, so they can say, I'm not sure. And hopefully they're not having as many experiences as Jodie and maybe I have had when we're younger, when people go, oh, wait, you're getting with a girl, so you must be a lesbian, or oh, are you straight? Maybe they don't need to define themselves anymore. And I hope so. But I still like the words because I really identify with my label.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy for people to just be like, I'm me.
And that's cool too.
Because wouldn't it be great if we could, I see what you're saying about the experiences, but straight, gay, bi, whatever the word, why does it have to be straight and then this umbrella?
Yeah.
Right?
I really it's so rarely 100% as well.
Why?
It never is. I have so many friends who say that they're straight and, they have, bi-curious tendencies, etc. And I've had I've posted videos and said, how do you feel about labels? And honestly, I can see it either way. Labels are so empowering and so useful and helpful to people who are confused and, it's just handy. But then also, they're for you, they're for yourself. You can use a label if you want to, or you can not. It's just, honestly, it's so personal.
I think the only reason this is a problem and this is a conversation we're having is because people assume that straight and cis are the default.
Yeah.
I get that it's the majority and
it's
what
a
people
C.
class as normal, but that's not the human default. People don't come with default settings, and it's either you're cis and you're straight until the world makes you otherwise, or until you decide otherwise. We're just born as human beings. We're born trans. We're born gay, and society tells us that these are the norms and these are our defaults. So you have to come out as something else before people are going to question whether you are something else.
I want to. This is always a really engaged panel, so I want to throw this out to the audience as soon as possible. So put up your hands, and then hopefully somebody with a. Disney, do you not have the microphone? Disney. In which case, I will ask another question. We're in a really privileged position at the moment where, in at least our circle of YouTube, it's a positive thing to come out. There are going to be hate comments, but there is a community cushioning us when we come out. What about people who are in different parts of the world, or in a rural town in the north of England, or in the south of America? Do you guys, I know that we aren't necessarily people with those experiences, but what kind of advice do you have for those people who aren't as connected with the queer community in bigger cities?
Well, I moved away. I lived in Devon in the southwest, and last year I moved to London, and it was the most eye-opening experience I've ever had in my entire life. I thought I was always very accepting of who I was, and until I was surrounded by my gay family and moved in with my friends and stuff, it was like, wow, like just people don't realize that you need the LGBT with you to feel like that. Like, let that real side out of you, regardless of how confident you are. Being surrounded by your community empowers you so much more than you'll really ever imagine. And so whatever you do, like if you're in one of those places where you're not really accepted, move away. Move to where you are accepted. Find your community. Don't like wait for them to come to you. Find the people that you need. And like, yeah.
But if you're not in the position to move away just yet, I do think that the support is certainly there. I mean, whether it's online, whether it's forums, I mean, there is a brilliant network. You've just got to find it. Yeah. I know it's really difficult in the meantime, and it is tough, but it's there.
And if there's one thing you can do, like if you're, not in a community that's going to be as accepting, you can work on accepting yourself, because that's a long journey, and it goes like this, and so that's one thing you can do. So at least when you are in a position of safety or comfort, and you can come out and whatever, you can
and also
know
like
yourself.
take your time, right? Like like Rose was saying, it's okay to be unsure, and it's okay to go on a journey of like discovery, and it's okay to change your mind as well.
And also, just because you haven't told people, because they might not have the right reaction, doesn't mean you're not still you.
Yeah,
doesn't
absolutely.
change anything.
Yeah.
Just because they don't know, don't let other people define you. You define yourself. So, kind of, who cares?
Yeah, I'm very attracted to you right now.
Cool. Hands up for questions. Does anybody want to ask a question? Disney, go. This is Disney, by the way. She's been like in charge of the volunteers in this room. Can we give her a round of applause? She's been bloody brilliant. Anyway, Disney, go ahead. Pick someone. What's your name and where do you come from?
I'm Megan, just from Essex, so pretty. I kind of wanted to touch on gender roles a bit, which is like such a big topic, so we could probably go on forever about it. But kind of touching upon the whole, straight is just the default, and when you're born, you're kind of like a pink bow is put on your head or a blue bow, and it's kind of like you're kind of set down a path where it's like if you're a boy you have to like these things and a girl like these things. So how do you think we can kind of normalize kind of breaking gender roles down and like showing people that it's not just like you don't have to just tick a box? And also with same-sex relationships, how people assume that even if there's two women or two men in a relationship, like one of them has to be, like it has to be like the man and the woman, like one of them has to be more masculine and one of them has to be more feminine. So I kind of just wanted to see your opinion on it and how we can
Those of us
break
who are
out of
in
it.
non-conventional relationships, shall we say, how many of you have had the question, which is the boy, which is the girl?
Yeah.
Yay! So how do we get past the traditional gender roles that are expected of us from quite a lot of
Keep
society?
talking about it.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing you can do, isn't it, really? Just talk about it and sort of be yourself. And I don't know, the more it's just publicly discussed and is not a taboo, the closer we'll get to it just, completely being normal and fine and just a thing. But in terms of specific things, it's so hard because it's so ingrained, this is why we all sort of have these various struggles. It's difficult. It's really difficult.
I love the fact that my little sister has grown up online and with Twitter and with these wonderful people, because now the LGBTQ plus community is so familiar to her and so normalized, and she loves talking about it as well. She has friends who use different labels, and she's so fine with it, and that's so progressive. It's so wonderful. And even my mum is so she's opened her eyes. She's so in love with the whole community and everything. And she wants to fight battles. She's so angry about, it's, I don't know, it's just so wonderful that people grow up with it now. Especially, even in my little sister's year, she's going to the same school that I went to, and people are using different pronouns, and I adore it. I love it.
I'd say my sister's school just started doing a new program where they are teaching kids, they're only 6 and 7, they're starting to teach them now about sexuality and things, and it's so good, because if I had that growing up, it would have been such an eye-opener to know that it was it's so normal. And also they all these people say, oh, it's confusing for children, it's confusing, whatever. It's more confusing when you don't know about
it.
it.
Oh my God, it would be so helpful. It's so important.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and I said this on another panel, but it applies for all, because talking about it definitely, and teaching children, but I also think just being you, because not just we learn from talking about it, but I've watched other YouTube couples, when I started dating Rose, and I just saw the way they interact, and if you're just you, I saw that there were no roles, no one was the man, no one was the woman. I was like, oh, okay, you can even subconsciously pick it up, so you just got to be you.
Yeah,
be gender fluid, be you, be who you are, and especially if someone's wanting to learn about it, they can be you're literally just being you, and that's how it is, and it's all fine. Here I am.
Visibility.
Yeah, visibility. Be you, if you can,
Yeah.
Cool. Another question, please.
I love this panel so much. Oh, jeez.
Go on, climb, Disney, climb.
Pass it down. Pass the parcel. Pass the mic.
Yeah, just pass the microphone down.
Hi. So.
Do you want to stand up?
Oh.
Hello.
No pressure.
So yeah, my name's Sam.
Hey.
I just wanted to ask. I was whenever I go shopping and stuff with my friends, and I'll see something, and it might have like a tiny bit of pink on it or something, and I'll be like, oh, I like that. My friend will go, oh, aren't you trans? And I'm still trans, and I don't know how to explain to them, and I'm like, I don't really know what to say to them, really. Yeah.
I think I'll take this.
I personally don't feel qualified to answer that question.
So clearly, I don't give a shit about gender roles. So I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with gendered products and stuff, because when I was first coming out and first coming to terms with the fact that I'm a dude, I was really oh my god, I can't buy anything that's got pink on it. If it's got flowers on it, I hate it. And it was just so masculine and so overcompensating. And I think after a while I came to terms with the fact that I like flowers, and I really like effeminate stuff. I like nail polish and I like makeup, and it doesn't make me less of a dude, it just makes me slightly less masculine on certain days. So why do we have to gender a shower gel? It seems so pointless, but at the same time, for someone that's just coming out, say if a trans woman was to pick up a really feminine, really floral shower gel and get a confidence boost from that and feel really affirmed by that, I think that can be a positive thing for people. So I think we just need to accept that gender roles aren't always great, but they can be really helpful to trans people and, again, non-binary people. Just God help us all.
And also, it's important to note that you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You don't have to be yeah, you know what? I won't buy pink. I don't like it because I'm a man. I promise. And it's sort of the same with bisexual. When I first came out, I was well, I guess I can't talk about boys now because I'm bi. I like girls. See, I promise. I'm dating someone who's a girl. I promise. It's just no, I don't have to do that. I'm using this label for myself. And fuck it, I'll talk about men and women and all kinds of people.
I think also you should never feel like you have to explain yourself. Like, if you like something because you like it, then that's fine, isn't it?
I'm wearing
End
man's
of
deodorant right
conversation.
now.
Exactly.
So am I. I'm wearing male deodorant.
It smells great.
But like, they're the same. We're wearing links. It's the male links, but there's also female links.
Yeah.
Why can't we all just wear links?
It smells great.
It's just links. Like, and also, can I just add? I mean, I'm not qualified to speak about trans issues as much as some other people. I may not be 100% on everything. But have you seen the people who make the adverts? Like, have you seen the adverts for the gender products? Like, they don't know what they're talking about. Like, the adverts are so bad. So, like, you know.
There is the cliche now story of the fact that 100 years ago, Victorians, over 100 years ago, I can't do maths, the Victorians dressed up baby boys in pink because it was seen as a masculine colour, and girls in blue because it was seen as feminine.
Wow.
Fuck gender roles.
Yeah.
And then Hitler came along. Have we just invoked Godwin's law and we've lost the argument now? Are there any other questions?
That's a new noise.
Hello.
Having a rave.
It's gonna drop.
Have we been invaded?
It's the patriarchy.
I think your sound system might be broken.
Are we cool? Yeah, we're good. Okay, cool.
Two things.
Hello?
Hello? I asked this mainly...
Adele?
I'm shy. I asked this mainly for Dodie and Jake.
Dodie.
Dodie.
Sorry, I love your accent. It's
I'm from up north. Don't judge. Seeing as you're both singers, how much do you feel like openly LGBT singers should say adapt the language for their own sexuality, or do you think it kind of it's difficult to word?
I'm so sorry, I can't hear you. What did you say?
Do you think that people who have certain gender preferences should adapt their language? Was that correct?
Yeah, because
Like the pronouns that they use in their music?
yeah, because obviously in the most recent years, you've got Years and Years, and I think recently Tegan and Sarah started using pronouns to specify same-gender attraction in their own songs. Do you think that is something that openly LGBT singers should do, or is it should, yeah?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Sam Smith still uses female pronouns, despite being an out gay man.
Interesting.
Like, I have a bit of a double standard about this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna own up to being problematic, right? When straight people change the pronouns to make songs straight, I'm like, oh, like why? Why did you have to do that?
Yeah,
just
I
sing
know.
it. Just
It's
sing
like
it how
they're
it
so
was and make it
scared.
gay. God.
It's like, I can't possibly say
I
this.
know, right? And like when gay singers use the pronouns to make the song gay, I'm like, yes, queen. So like it's my own double standard, and I will
Shit,
admit
I
to
didn't
that.
even
but-
realize that. Oh my god, I sort of agree with you.
but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm wearing a top that says she means everything to me, so I don't really know. I've never thought about that. I don't think I change the pronouns if I cover anything. And I've never been one to like mix songs to match to me. Has anyone written a song where they use they them pronouns? Damn, release it now. It's important. You should write one. Interesting idea.
I do change the pronouns to make songs gay, because I feel really like awkward about using she pronouns in a love song and like dating a trans guy. I'm like, ooh, hate crime, like should not do that. Hey babe. But just as being like a trans musician, I feel very very comfortable about making my music trans orientated and like centered around my own sexuality. So I feel very very proud that I get the opportunity to do that, and I think there is a gap in the scene for like gender music, so repping myself. Sadly, just gonna shut up now.
Do you worry about being defined as a trans artist?
I don't know, because I don't really. If people were like, yeah, that's the trans musician, I'd be like, heck yeah, I am. So I guess if there's the gap for it and I fill that gap, then I'm down for filling that gap.
That's what she said. Any other questions? Sorry.
Actually, that's what he said.
That's what they said.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what they said. Thank you.
This is a progressive joke.
Has someone got the mic? Hi. Hey.
Hello. I was wondering how.
What's your name?
I'm Amy. Sorry.
Hey, Amy.
I was wondering how you feel about how sexualized the LGBT community is, especially considering a lot of people aren't very sexual, especially a lot of younger people who may identify like that, and they may feel very uncomfortable, like really sexualizing themselves, especially people who aren't people who are under 16. I've never really seen a place where it's like you have gay nightclubs, but there are no like gay cafes, and I think that's really would that be something you'd want to see start coming?
I'd love a gay cafe with like some cats and brilliant. Do you worry about, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it was about like the sexualization of gender and sexuality.
That's so interesting.
That's
like,
real question.
When my little sister said to me that she feels that she's pansexual and her friends are coming out as pansexual, I was like, oh, okay, have you heard of pan-romantic and like the romantic side of things? She's like, no. So yeah, it's maybe introduce that side of things, because that's also an important part of the whole spectrum. Gosh, I don't know. What do you think?
I think that's such a great point. It's not something that I'd thought about a lot, but I think that there should be like spaces where young gay people or whoever, anyone who wants to hang around with LGBTQ plus people or feel like they want to experiment or talk about stuff, they should have a safe place where it isn't sexual. I think linking it to being sexual and being older is not a good thing.
That has been a problem with the way that like the straight community has often chastised us by being the gays, they have the sex in the butt. Patriarchy. And that's how we've been demonized. We've been demonized by the things we do and not by the people we are. The amount of people that that I met growing up, because not everyone was woke in my hometown, but the amount of people who would be like, oh, why does it matter what you are? Like, I think that you're still great even though you're gay. And I'm like, but I'm still that person. And the sexual stuff that I like doesn't define me or really my sexuality. But those spaces do definitely exist. You just have to look for them. And kind of, I think that's something that LGBTQ plus people also have to kind of deal with in terms of shaking off if I talk about my boyfriend, that doesn't mean I'm telling people that I'm having sex with him all the time. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I wanted to pick up on that because I mentioned this in another panel, but is the LGBT community really sexual, or has it been over-sexualized by the people perceiving it, maybe straight or anyone?
We were at a gay club last night and it wasn't that sexual, where I was dancing like a dad.
But even on YouTube, I was saying, for example, Rose and I kiss on YouTube because we're married to each other, so that's fine, but I feel like people perceive that as...
if you weren't married, it would also be fine.
Yeah, but we're whatever. We want to kiss each other, but I feel like if a straight couple kissed, no one cares. But if Rose and I kiss, people perceive it as sexual. It's just a kiss, and so. Yeah, I think it is difficult that we have to shake off this big stigma that surrounds us from communities trying to bring us down, be like, oh, the gay people, they have lots of casual, promiscuous sex or whatever. Not that there's a problem with that, but people stigmatized us with that, and I think that's a lot of myths. And I also think, like you were saying, the word bisexual, pansexual, as I said, I identified as bisexual from very early on, but I did feel awkward because when you're telling someone, you're basically saying, it feels like, what you're saying is, I can fall in love. I'm saying I can fall in love with both men and women. I feel attraction for both men and women because it's called bisexual. You feel like when you tell your parents that you're saying, Mum, I like to have sex with boys and girls. And it's horrible.
Why that voice?
Makes you feel horrible. I don't know, just felt like
and what?
appropriate. But like, yeah. So,
And what
like,
Dodie
with
said
shit-
about using romantic, I've actually never heard that used
Yeah, no, I
out
haven't
loud.
heard it, but I
Like,
like it.
bi-romantic would be
I like
a great
that. Romance,
thing
yeah.
to use.
Yeah, but so yeah, I do
Let's
feel
do
it's a
that.
stigma, and maybe we can use more words like bring in romantic, and maybe working on safe places like that for younger people would be great. But also, like, I also think that stems from like I don't feel we have a really great sex education for young people involving LGBT.
Did anybody on this panel receive any kind of queer sex ed
Oh,
in their
no.
school?
Nope.
None.
Nothing.
It was never
nothing.
mentioned.
I
And,
got like 0.
I think it was mentioned once as like and I guess gay people exist. Anyway, moving on.
Oh, you're lucky you got a mention. Like,
I was actively, I didn't even go to a religious school, I was actively told, so gay people have to use special condoms because HIV exists. And that's what I thought, that was my gay sex education.
But like because of this,
special
so
condom.
I like inquired into this because I know a lot of teachers. My mum works in school, and I was like, right, the sex education's not that good. Why can't we have sex education for everyone? And it's because they believe that some people, not everyone, believes that if you teach children, about like sex education for everyone,
It can sway
that
them.
it will, that it's sexualizing it and it's like encouraging straight people to
Sexualizing
go gay.
sex ed.
Right. And then so it's like this is why it's struggling to make it not sexual, because if you can't tell kids, they're kids and you're telling them about sex, but you can't tell them about gay sex. Is that more sexual than normal sex?
Yeah, it makes it seem like it's like,
Right?
naughty, even worse.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
normal
No,
sex.
you
It's
can't
just
do
sex.
that.
And I guess, sorry, I've got a cough. Excuse me.
Diva sip.
I guess the reason is because sex education was mainly maybe about preventing childbirth, but now it's about like preventing STIs.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if we can't educate them on the same things, how are we going to normalise it?
And I want to say as well, like, they say as well in schools about sex education stuff, like, oh, if you teach them about gay sex, they could choose to be a gay or something. Obviously, sexuality isn't a choice. But I want to say something, even if sexuality was a choice, so what?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
Why does that make a difference?
Such a good point.
Just thought I'd say.
But if you can't even educate children on things they need to be educated on, like safety, like how gay, whatever, non-straight people protect themselves against STIs, I never got that education, then how can we, it's just got the stigma around it, and we need to learn to shake it off and create these safe spaces.
I did actually get, it wasn't like sex education, but it was like sexuality education. So luckily I lived in like kind of a gay central town, I guess. Like it's a small town, but we had a big like gay scene. So we had these people come in from an NHS organisation called Over the Rainbow, and they were like, oh yeah, gay people exist, bi people exist, and talked through like sort of stigmas around sexuality, but only went very subtly into sex in the way that you should use a condom, end of story. And also trans people exist, lol. And it was like one slide, it was just like trans people, lol. And that was it, so.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there are no gay people in Birmingham, so it wasn't necessary to talk about it in my school. So yeah, not even mentioned at all, not even in passing, which is good.
Yeah, I didn't even get a mention. I didn't even get a mention, nothing.
No, there wasn't really much. Like I said, biracial. Just didn't know.
Sad.
We're overrunning, but I don't care. Can we get another question?
Let's have a lock-in.
Sorry, Disney, I'm making you work more. Work.
Hello. Oh, that's fine.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Abby.
Hey, Abby.
What advice would you give to someone who is struggling with the idea of coming out to a parent I've had previous experience with my dad. He doesn't know about my sexuality because I'm bi. And before, when he's mentioned it, he's been very derogatory. He's said things about it. And I want to tell him, but I'm terrified of his reaction. Is there any advice for that you've got? Fun times. Bounce.
I think that sometimes people, parents or whoever, say ignorant things, and it's not actually coming from a place of disgust or hatred, but actually because they are uneducated.
Exactly.
And I mean, I'm not saying genuine hatred doesn't exist, but like, without education, without knowing, if they don't have someone out in the family and they don't have anyone they know, they may say something and they may believe it to be true, but hopefully people may be receptive to changing their minds.
My mum, it was difficult with my mum. She asked me if you met lesbians down by the docks, which I didn't understand at the time. I still don't really understand it now.
What?
But it was.
I was going to say,
I
can you
don't
explain that?
Because she said, where do gay people come from?
She did, and she said, what do
The
they
docks?
do together?
Vaginas, like everybody else.
Gabies.
But it was definitely a journey with a parent. But one thing I do realise now, it's all about just education, and educating my own parents was a difficult journey, but one that I'm so glad that I did. And all that kind of like Rosie said, whether it's hate or it comes across as derogatory, the way they're talking about it, or you, it's normally just a case of you just have to sit them down and make them understand exactly what it is, rather than have this kind of alien thing.
Your mum, like, we've had our ups and downs and it's all great now, but she even said, she was like, how do gay people have sex and stuff like that? And it's like,
I do sketches.
Yeah, it's awkward, like, talking to your parents and stuff, but some people, can come around to it. And something Rose always says is, you've had however many years to decide on your journey what you are, and we're sometimes still deciding.
Right.
You tell your parents, and I think sometimes there's a pressure that they're either going to unaccept you or accept you.
You've
And
gotta
it's like,
give them
how about
time
you
as well.
give them time, because it took you time to accept yourself. Imagine someone who's not in your body, who's not with your mind, thinking your thoughts and feelings. It's going to take them a while.
It's a two-way street. There's like a mutual respect in
Right.
that sense.
Give
I
them
think.
time, because, unfortunately, some people never change their minds, but like with
But
Rose's
some
mum,
do. If my mum did.
Right, it was a bad experience for time as well. We had to deal with it for a long time. But then, I love Rose's mum. She loves me. Like, we're great. Like, we got through it,
Time's a healer.
Did that help?
I know it's
Oh, there
cliche.
you go.
I just won't touch that. I know it's cliche to say, but make sure you're safe. Make sure that it's a good idea and you're comfortable. And it's difficult and it's hard, and I'm sorry, I feel. But just do me and wait till you're moved out. No, I'm kidding. But just make sure you're safe.
I think there's always, at least I hope, some element of unconditional love between parents and children, and it might just never have crossed your parents' mind that you could be anything other than straight. So to bring that into their home and into their life, they might think, oh crap, maybe I actually have to not say derogatory things and things that are offensive, and they might not even understand that language is scaring you and upsetting you, because to them it's like a foreign concept. It's a thing that exists on TV and outside, and it's not something that exists in their home. So when you bring it home, it's just an opportunity to educate them and to bring them into this century.
Yeah, and unless you've got really, really cool parents, like we were saying, more people are coming out because we've got people on YouTube and we've got this online community. Your parents might not necessarily have that. They don't have that accepting community we have. It's a process. I'm still learning. Like, the world is changing. I'm still learning things that I need to.
I had to understand that my mum had to come out as the mother of a gay daughter. So you've got to kind of like appreciate that too. They've got to come out to their, and also there's often a generational gap sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents, they're slightly older, and they had to sort of like come out to their family and their extended family, and I had to sort of appreciate that because I'd already come out and I was just watching it from a perspective from like a straight woman who has a gay daughter. So it's, there are flip sides, aren't there?
I'd also like to say that I'm sure I've been ignorant in my time, and then I've changed my mind. People can, even if it takes time, people can be like, I was wrong. I understand now.
There's also the fact that they don't have the same exposure to that we have had. I mean, when I was growing up, I remember Stephen Fry and Graham Norton being the only benchmarks for gay men that I could identify with. It was like,
and also, even if say your family saw those people don't live in the house. Like, like Graham Norton isn't bringing back his husband or whoever to meet the parents. Like, it's so, you know.
And like my mum was a nurse in the 80s and 90s, and the major exposure that she had to gay men was HIV. And that was like, and because there weren't any media representations of happy gay couples, she was just like, oh, I'm terrified now for your safety. And it will come from that. I'm looking in your vague direction, but I can't see you. Hey, hello. They don't have the same reference points as we do, and like the guys have said, it can sometimes take time, and be okay with that. It's cool. One more question?
Oh my God, look at that. Make it a good one.
I think we're milking it.
Pressure. Hello, my name's Fiona.
Hey,
oh, hi, Fiona! Hey. Thank you. My question is mostly directed towards people who are in queer relationships online. Sorry if we don't like the word queer, sorry. Like LGBT plus relationships online. How much did you consider your audience when coming out as a couple, and did you consider the fact that it's kind of important to be like, hi, here's representation and here's what you can look at? Because I know for me, growing up, I took a while to figure it out. You know, seeing just like, you know, two girls in a relationship together was like really rare for me, to just see like these two girls that I watched on YouTube and they're just like living a normal life, as opposed to the representation that we normally get within mainstream media. So, like, was that a consideration at all, is my question.
I think I heard all of that. I think when Rose and I did YouTube together, we thought the best way to show being in a relationship was to make it normal. Right. We're in a relationship, like straight people are in a relationship, and anyone's in a relationship, it's just a relationship.
We acted the same.
So we were like, we'll just be us in a relationship. And at first, because we try and be a comedy channel, like to think we're funny, so at first we were like, you know, we want to entertain. The fact that we're in a relationship almost at the beginning came second to that, because we wanted to be, we're comedy and we happen to be in a relationship with each other. It doesn't matter that we're two women. And the only reason it sort of came more forward is because we realized we're helping people. So we didn't want to, at first we didn't want to talk about it, because it's like, if I go on and on about it, it makes a big thing. Why can't we just be ourselves in a relationship?
It was like a natural it was like a secondary thing to the channel, and I think if anything, it's kind of it's more beneficial, because I'm not like, look, it's okay, it's all right, it's still okay to be gay. Even though we all know that's true, I feel like it speaks more volumes if you're like, you know what, I'm just doing me, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. You can take it or leave it, but I'm normalizing it by being normal. So.
But even that, we didn't have a discussion. Like, Rose and I started YouTube as a hobby. We were like dating when we started our first ever videos, like our first moments are caught on camera. And so at first there was no discussion of how to represent ourselves. We just were. I think as things grew, as we did get an audience, because we didn't expect that, and then when we got an audience, we're like, okay, we're not going to make it a big deal. We just are still. And then I think now we have a big audience. I think we're like, look, you know, it's really important. We're realizing that hopefully we're helping people. And so therefore we're bringing it to the front, being like, look, guys. But yeah, I think just being you is such a good way to normalize, you know, our relationship.
I think it's also important to say that you don't have to be a vlogging couple to do it.
No, yeah, you don't.
Like, I just make it really clear with my audience that I have a male partner. Or sorry, babe, a genderqueer partner. Thanks. I'm learning. I'm imperfect. Sorry. But I use like he, him pronouns, and that's what I kind of wanted when I was younger. Was just somebody to say, oh, by the way, like, I'm getting on with my life, but I have this relationship with whoever. Yeah. Jimmy, you're also.
That's kind of how I approach it as well. It's just, you know. It's just a thing, it's just another part of me, in the same way that, you know, I like collecting stuff from charity shops and to do comedy videos, you know, it's just another thing, so I kind of, don't make a big deal of it. But that's sort of a choice with me, because I was doing YouTube long before I was in a relationship. I felt like it would be weird to then sort of incorporate that afterwards, and it might sort of jeopardize my relationship and put a pressure on that. So that's why I kind of made a conscious decision not to include my boyfriend in my videos.
And that's cool. I don't want to have to make my volunteers stay much longer. Sorry, Disney. Thank you very much. We're going to wrap up. Cheers. Please.
Thank you. This is awesome.
That was so fun. One of the best panel ever.